Just recently, I was released out of the hospital after being there for 10 days on Friday, February 10th. And I wanted to take this time to share my experience and the testimony and how God delivered me from a tragic experience, and wanted to encourage others that no matter what you're going through, if it's something similar or hard, that just stay in the race, see it to the very end. So, just to give a short recap in how the event that led up to the event, back in January 2009, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, which is in the family of autoimmune illnesses. It's classified as a inflammatory bowel disease, IBD. It attacks your large colon, and at any time you can have a flare up that can create so much inflammation that you're constantly bleeding. You're not able to take in food because of the pain and so forth. But many can get by and not have flare ups where it's in remission and you can live a perfectly normal life. And that's pretty much how I was. I didn't have any issues. And also, I just honestly forgot about it. Number one, it's not really a great awareness around the disease that they don't have a cure for. And there wasn't really any signs that made me think that I could have been hospitalized anytime soon since the first incident that I had in 2009. But however, in December, I started getting the symptoms of what would be called a flare up. And when I had them, I just thought it was something that would just pass over and that it would not get any worse. However, that was not the case. Over the couple of weeks going into January, the pain and the inflammation in my colon got very severe, to the point that I had to actually go to ER on January 22nd. When I got to ER, I was in so much pain that they just basically gave me pain relief through the IVs. I was dehydrated and very nauseated. So with the first ER visit, I didn't get admitted, and I was just told to see my GI doctor. That very next night, or that very early morning, I heard the Lord say that you are healed. And so I'm like, great, this is what I've been waiting for, and now I'm going to get my healing, and life's going to be back to normal when I can go back to work, and I'll be able to get sleep, because I haven't been able to sleep because the pain is so severe it keeps you awake. However, that was not the case, but that week I went to my doctor, and unfortunately within the next 24 hours I was back into ER a second time. This time I went to a different hospital. My husband suggested Mayo. We went to Mayo Clinic. This pain level was probably from a 1 to 10, maybe a 7 at this point. They gave me morphine. I was dehydrated once again because at this point my body was not taking in really a lot of food or anything, and nothing could be kept in, and I was constantly bleeding from the inflammation that was growing in my large colon. At this point, they just wrote me a higher prescription of prednisone, which typically that worked the first time when I was first diagnosed with it. But this time, it appeared that the prednisone was not going to work. I did what the doctor told me. I took the 7 days worth of steroids, basically. I went to my GI doctor. They gave me another medication to take along with the steroids. So at this point, I probably had 5 or 6 medications that I was taking, and also hydrocodone. The pain got so severe that the hydrocodone stopped working and nothing was helping. So I'd say about the 7 days later, Tuesday, January 31st, I was vomiting in so much pain that my heart, you could see it pumping out of my chest. So at that point, my husband rushed me to the hospital. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking like, well, God, you told me about a week ago, that early morning, you are healed. And at this time, the way that I'm feeling as I'm getting rushed to the hospital, that I was going to have a heart attack. So as soon as I get there, this is my third ER visit. They hooked me up to an EKG machine to make sure that I wasn't going to have a heart attack. They immediately had to admit me because of the way that the pain was, the inflammation was growing in my colon, hooked me up to morphine, and from there, I would say I was drugged up, heavily medicated, in severe pain. Um, and that was going to start the 10 days of me being hospitalized. So pretty much as each day went on, the pain wasn't going away. I could feel myself at night because I wasn't getting any sleep. And at that point, Tuesday, the 31st, my body stopped taking in food and I felt like I was going to give up. And I asked God to please take me home, because to see the look on my husband's face, my brother, and even having multiple doctors, I'd say I at least would see about 10 doctors a day coming into the room, trying to check on me and make sure that whatever they could do may work, or what alternatives I had. But to sit there and have everything out of control, I had no control over nothing. The doctors could not find anything to stop and just fix it. There was no fix. There's not a cure for this. And to just have to sit there and deal with the pain and not sleep 24/7, and yet alone, I could feel my body was giving up. They were at that point, they wasn't giving me food through the IV yet because I had to go through some examination in my colon. So I'd say about maybe the 6th day, after having no food or anything, I had the saline and the medications that they were giving me through the IVs. But on the 6th day, they decided to go ahead and start feeding me through the IVs. At this point, I was probably about 97 or 96 pounds, and kind of in and out, and just trying to hang in there with everything that I had, and just still holding on to what God told me. He said that I was healed. Well, also on that 6th day, I had multiple doctors come in, along with some surgeons, telling me that at this point, the way that the inflammation is happening in my colon, in my large colon, and the way that I was constantly bleeding and it wasn't stopping, that they may have to just go ahead and remove my entire large colon. And this process generally takes 3 surgeries over the course of the year. So, of course, my life was going to change. And so at this point, I was either going to say, Lord, I gave up. I wanted to just die. I wanted to somehow overdose and just die and not have to deal with this pain anymore, or have to suffer the fact that I'd be going through multiple surgeries for the next couple of months. So I still held on to what God told me. So about an hour later, another doctor came in and they did some research and they found that there was another alternative, but this alternative only had a 60% success rate. So with this infusion that they said that I would have to take for the rest of my life or until it wore off, may or may not work. And it will require 3 days preparation to make sure that I have all my vaccinations and that I was basically virus, bacteria free, and that I could take this. However, that this would suppress my entire immune system for the rest of the term of me taking these infusions. So I go back to what I was told, because in my mind, it was such a struggle to just not give in and to just not let the devil or not allow anybody to scare me and deter me from what I knew that the word of the Lord, said. And the fact that I did feel bad for not telling a lot of people. This was really kept really just really for those who was real close to me, because I didn't want others to know how bad it was. To maybe they're afraid, and then they make me afraid, and then I just give up and give in, and I couldn't fight this mental battle that I was just trying to keep fighting, even though the physical battle I felt that I lost. But anyway, so I went ahead and then took the infusion that they offered me, this medication, and prayed that God, first, my first prayer is that God be with these doctors, let this medication work, and if I could just get out of here and make it out of here, that I know, because what you told me, I'm going to be healed, and that I won't have to have a surgery ever, and that this illness, I'll be cured 100%. So the day that they finally gave me the infusion, I quoted the verse that I always like to say is, "Fear not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness." And from there, things were starting to look up. Within the next 5 or 6 hours, the pain that I was feeling that was so bad that I just wanted to die or stab myself was finally ceasing. And in each little day that went on, that led up into the 10th day, things got better. And that Friday, they said that I could go home. And it was hard because of the fact that I had to force myself to eat and to just not associate everything with the pain and disconnect from being hospitalized and in the bed that long. But when I left the hospital and when my husband came and got me, I left with tears of joy and emotion, and knowing that I didn't know what my life was going to be when I left the doors of Mayo Clinic. And it was just tears of just the love that God has for me, and that even though I was trying to give up, he never gave up. He doesn't give up on us. And I'm so thankful to God that, he gives us his word. He's faithful. And that I held on to the very end. I fought to the very end that I was going to overcome this. So I wanted to remind everyone, if you're going through something, no matter what it is, if it's your health, if it's near death, if it's financial, whatever it is that there's nothing too hard for God, but you have to stand strong. You have to have faith and believe that God is going to bring you through, because he will.